So welcome to the show, everyone. It's Friday already. I can't even believe that it is Friday already, and that the holidays are literally around the corner. You know what? We are networking with everybody here. We're talking to everyone within 3 feet of us, right through the radio. That's what I love to do. And we're live on Facebook, so I do want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We will share the show later on. It is Medicare season right now. My first guest that I have with me is Cynthia Macluskie, and she's the owner of Cynthia Macluskie Insurance Solutions. Welcome to the show. Before you came on, you just told me that you do have a little experience about being on, maybe not radio, but television.
Yes.
You've been on Good Morning America and some other things. So welcome, I'm glad you're here. Tell everybody first a little bit about yourself and what makes you so different.
Okay, so I started in insurance for corporations, and then I had a son with autism, and insurance didn't cover autism, it was an exclusion. So even though we had amazing insurance, we didn't have any coverage for my son. And so I got involved and I helped pass the autism insurance legislation in the state.
Wow, no wonder you're on television. I'm so proud to have you here.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
And then the governor appointed me to work groups and committees to rework Medicaid for our state. And so I know
I guess
a little
you know
bit.
Medicare.
Yeah. And then I just became an insurance broker because it's all I talk about anyways, so I might as well do it for a living. It's my love.
That's pretty awesome. Now, first of all, thank you. Thank you for doing that for everybody. I think that's really neat. Now, I want to ask you, what is the first question, the most, obvious question that you get asked all the time when it comes to Medicare?
When should I start Medicare?
When should people start Medicare?
Well, and that's what's so hard. It depends.
Okay.
So if you're 65 and still working, and you're working for a big corporation, maybe you want to not start Medicare because you have a good employer plan and why pay for both. But if you work for a small company under 20, then the answer would be different. If you're on marketplace insurance, then you really need to start Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on COBRA, you really need to start Medicare. So I think the reason it's so confusing to everybody is there's not a firm answer. It
Right.
depends on your circumstance, and people are afraid they're going to get a fine because if you don't do it correctly, you could get a fine. But if you follow the rules, you won't. But the rules are confusing.
How do you follow the rules if you don't know the rules?
Exactly.
I got to ask my question.
Well, that's what I tell the government all the time. They think it's simple. It's not simple. People make mistakes all the time because they don't understand. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly, and I say that all the time on this show. You don't know what you don't know. You see, people who have done radio and television, that's what they say. And the other thing that I do want to talk about, though, that this is a free service, right? It's
Correct.
a free service, and listen, let's say this. You've mentioned this before you came on, and you were saying like that there's tons and tons of ads out there, and people are getting inundated. And yes, we know that. But I will say something. I do want to say something. I think what I love about this show is that it allows people, let's say someone like you, to have a voice and to have you listen. It's not just a little ad out there, you know what? You have the opportunity to really talk and let them listen because everybody resonates with somebody different. That's for sure. Being a woman, obviously, that makes that. Some women, do you have a lot of women clients? Or does
I
it
do.
matter?
Actually, it's split.
About the same? Okay.
Yeah.
But also, I think what makes her different, I mean, my God, she changed the rules here, the laws here,
Yes.
and that's really huge. Now, I'm going to get out your information because you are statewide, okay? Your phone number to call is 602-571-1118. Her website is CMAC, so CMAC insurance.com. All right, so common mistakes that people make, what are those?
Oh gosh, there's so many. The one that's heartbreaking to me is I'll get a call from a child whose parent is in the hospital. They have original Medicare, so they have Part A and Part B. They never got a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare supplement or a prescription drug plan because they thought Medicare paid for everything. And Medicare doesn't pay for anything. So, it pays for lots of things, but there's lots of gaps. So if you're in the hospital, you're using both Part A and Part B. So Part A is like your room and board. So you have a deductible, and that's not small, but then Part B, Medicare pays 80%, you pay 20%. If you're in the hospital for weeks on end, can you imagine how much money you'd rack up?
Crazy.
Because for every doctor, surgeon, ER, lab, MRI, ambulance, you're paying 20% with no out-of-pocket maximum.
Really?
None.
Oh, wow.
Zero. So it breaks my heart because these people didn't know they were choosing this, but they did, and now they have big bills that they can't afford because they didn't know.
Wow. See, that's the thing. I love this show because it's great information for people out there. And everyone's different. And you said, it's all about having that conversation because, and what makes it right for you, right? Now, I want to also ask you, because you said that there's things there, Medigap. You wanted me to ask you it this way. Which is better, Medigap or Medicare Advantage?
So I love this question because if you're on Facebook or anywhere, you're going to hear about how Medicare Advantage is horrible, it's awful, it doesn't pay for anything, and that's actually not true. Now, there are some pros and cons to a Medicare Advantage, and there's pros and cons to a Medicare supplement or a Medigap, and what's important for people to know is the pros and cons of both. So when they choose one, they understand how to use it.
Right.
And most people that have problems with Medicare Advantage, in my experience for my clients, just didn't know what to do when they got a denial or they had an issue. People don't understand how to use their insurance when it doesn't go their direction. And there's lots of things you can do. So here's an example. I had a client, 91, with cancer, very rare, only 2 doctors in the county that treat it. One's at Mayo, one's at Barrows, doesn't take Medicare Advantage. And he had a Medicare Advantage. Well, guess what? Medicare Advantage is required to have a doctor who's capable of treating it. So I called, we got a single case agreement, and he's now being treated for $10 a visit. So it's just understanding what you're picking and then how to use it.
Or having somebody that can help you understand it.
Exactly.
I think that's the biggest part of all. And it's a free service to you. And look what she just did. He must have been so thrilled.
Oh, they were really happy.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm sure. Again, her phone number is 602-571-1118. CMAC Insurance.com. Real quickly, I know we don't have a lot of time, so I just want you to tell everybody what the big changes are happening for 2025.
Okay, so the first thing is the donut hole is gone. So that's going to make people so happy because we've been talking about that donut hole forever. The second thing is that instead of the catastrophic phase starting at 8,000, it's now 2,000. So that's going to save about 12% of the Medicare population a bunch of money. 88% maybe not, but that 12% is going to really see a difference.
Well, I'll tell you something, there's going to be some changes, but if I'm going to have somebody that I want to talk to, I think somebody with experience like you, and you've been dealing with, again, she helped write certain laws here for people, and that's pretty interesting. That's in itself is a story. I'd love to hear more about that. But of course, you're here to help anybody. There's a lot of people right now, I know that it's Medicare season, but a lot of people are turning 65 no matter what.
Exactly.
So either way, she can help you, and there's things you need to know. And that's what makes this wonderful, for you to call her direct, and she's a free service to you. It's 602-571-1118. It's CMAC Insurance.com.